Fundamentals. Alexis, are you ready?
Yes, hi Paul. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna give a quick share of my screen, and I think interestingly enough, I was having a look at bonds as well because I think recently there was a there was a big demand for bonds from China, right? So I have been so-called watching or following the China news, China markets, just to see where things are at. Just let me pull out that article, which I have no idea where it went. Yeah, but before that article, I'm just going to put out a PowerPoint slide. This is just some curious toggling after one of Julian's sessions regarding bonds. So I think bonds are something that I am paying a lot of attention to now because it is, I think, as Julian mentioned, cheap. Prices are pretty low. It's, prices have dropped from quite a bit. Yields are changing. They're no longer the same as the years before. So this is the article I was looking at, right? Overseas investors are snapping up mainland China bonds. So this got me curious on what's happening in the bond market. And if we look at a couple of, I would say, let me just move this, I would say a couple of bond charts. Let me pull them out. So I've got a couple of bond charts here. I just pulled them off the trading view. So let's just take a look. Like what I'm showing now, it's the prices, bond prices on the five-year, 10-year. This is a China 5-year price for bond prices. This is like the 10-year price. All right, it's just interesting to see that the bond prices have jumped, right? I think 10 years is a little bit easier to see in terms of charts. So you can see 2021 in May itself, the most recent price action, you can see a big jump, in the entire month of March all the way to May, bond prices have been going up. Now, in comparison to that, these are the bond yields. Bond yields are inversely related to bond prices. They are going down, so it's a very normal price reaction, but it got me curious on the bond prices and the yields in the US, in Australia, and a couple of the other markets that we're looking at. So my question then is the flow of money. Will the flow of money go back to, where will the flow of money go next? So this was a comparison I did earlier on between a Aussie and a USD. This is between a Australian 5-year, an Australian, I think 5-year and a US 10-year yield. It's just playing around with charts to see whether the bond yield differentials do make any difference. So when we start talking about bond yields and whether or not how that translates into trading currency, I think Julian mentioned as well that there is potential of the US dollar strengthening. I have mixed feelings about that because I think as much as I would like to see more US dollar strength, I have been waiting for positions in the US dollar, but I don't think it will happen that soon yet until something changes. So I think the patience game here is really interesting. I'm going to scroll through a couple of dollar charts, and you can see the dollars are really cheap right now. And I think a lot of things play into fact right now. It's not just, I would say, the market has gone a lot bigger. It's not just about bonds, interest rates right now. I think crypto, the massive movements in crypto in the stock markets, it's all going to shake up the US dollar and kind of give it an effect. So curiously enough, I had someone, I think I can't remember, but I was out with a couple of friends and someone asked me, why would anyone buy Bitcoin, right? And I do understand where that concept is coming from, because the general, I would say, news, rumors, or like myths around is that crypto is not regulated. It can't be used for anything and stuff like that. But the question then I asked my friend was, how do you determine that money is money, right? It's just a piece of paper. And he quickly replied, oh, it's because money can be spent. So that was when I said, hey, actually, Bitcoin can be spent too, right? It really depends on the platforms. And now that banks are coming in, regulatory bodies are looking at it. So in a way, Bitcoin, does it have the potential to become money? And that's the question mark, right? And if that happens, what what will happen to our traditional fiat currencies. So a couple of things happening in the Bitcoin world. Now, I don't quite understand Bitcoin as a trading asset, so there's a lot of things to learn from Shukri, but what I do understand about money is this. Money is money because money is used, it's got a demand for it can be spent. So the more regulatory bodies that are coming in to support this acceptance of Bitcoin, acceptance of Ethereum, then this asset class has a potential of becoming some kind of in exchange, right? My money is an exchange system. I give you a piece of paper, you give me some stuff. That's it. All right. And based on what the China regulatories are doing, is China cracking down on it because they feel that cryptocurrency is a threat to their actual global currency? I don't know where they're going to come from, but there must be a reason why they're cracking down on mining. I don't think it's just because it's for the environment. So I think a lot of things is happening, not just in stocks or bonds, but I think if we take a couple of steps back and look at the macro view, we have this big chunk of asset class, Bitcoin, where it has so much attention recently. We have bonds that are so cheap now. Are people going to come in and purchase those bonds? We have people going into China bonds. China is now number 2 in the global economy, right? It's ranked number 2 in terms of GDP. It's been really quiet recently. And if we do look at the China news, I think China is just being quiet because they are focused very much on the vaccines that are happening in their country. The moment they settle their vaccines, I think something's going to come up from there. So where do I see us trading in the next medium term to short term? I think an eye on the USD is going to be a question mark in terms of, let's see what the US dollar, how the US dollar will respond. Politically, they're pretty much, I wouldn't say stable, but I would say politically, Biden is not as erratic as Trump. He has a very clear direction. He doesn't change and U-turn as and when he feels like it. So what I'm looking for is a trading signal, right? Signal on whether or not the USD will continue to have this decline towards the downside, right? Or will the USD start to recover? So my question is, on a lot of these charts, and one of the pairs that I look at always is the USD Sing dollars. And on the daily chart, the USD Sing dollar is consolidating again at the area of regulatory intervention. All right. So my question then is, will the USD Sing break below this, bring it down further, or will it pop back up? So a lot of consolidation happening right now. You can see the dollar Sing is still sideways, been sideways for ages, all the way this year. Dollar Swiss has come off again, testing this area. Will it continue breaking down? Question mark. And based on the news that's coming out, based on the bond market situations, based on stocks, I think whatever is happening in the stock market, there are two things that will happen. People would have a flight from stocks because they want to take profits and sit on the cash. And by saying sitting on the cash, I'm talking about hedge fund managers thinking, with the stock market doing this now, where do I want to put my money? What's the safest? It's either bonds or cash, right? Do I want to hold the cash and sit it out, hold the cash and wait it out, or put my money in bonds and wait it out? So I think that in this 1 or 2 weeks, it's going to be interesting because decisions have to be made. Where does all these millions and millions of dollars in terms of hedge fund manager portfolio going to go? Are they going to go into bonds? Are they going to go into a cash asset while waiting for the stock market to give it a cleaner signal or something like that? So my eye is on the US dollar. It's either going to pop down, but when it does rally back up, I think the move will be really fast because that will signal the start of all the other buying power that's coming in. So my eyes on the USD for the next couple of weeks right now. That's all for me.
Cheers, Alexis. Thank you very much for that. Always good to get your view on the market. And it is an interesting stage in the market, isn't it? There does seem to be a lot of stuff in play, and certainly interesting. Gordon called Friday last week, Friday the week before, was doomsday for the stocks. But boy, he got the crypto market right, didn't he? What we thought maybe came in the stock market certainly came in crypto pretty quickly after that. It'll be interesting to see if stock market